and good morning. It is Monday, November 16th, 2020, and we're having terrible internet problems. I'm calling you. Oh my God, just forewarned, we're probably going to lose connection here. So welcome to Savannah Community Headlines Live. That's part of the water cooler. This stuff happens. It's a weekly gathering around the virtual water cooler. Hosting today is Catalina Garcia Quick, and I'm Marjorie Young. Today we have 5 members of the Savannah Magazine's 2020 New Guard talking about we're going to have a panel for a discussion on the future vision of Savannah. But before we get started with the panel, we have a few announcements. First is Tanya Pederuski, who is speaking on behalf of Shannon Kilbrew from Savannah's Hope for House Calls and Medical Care. Let me pull her on. It takes a minute here. Hold on. There we go. Hey, Tanya. Welcome to the cooler. How are you?
I'm good. I've never heard my name pronounced that way before. I'm impressed with the...
Is it how you say it? I don't know.
No, it's Pietrkowski, but that's fine. I love to see it. Whoops, I'm moving. Sorry about that. But I love to hear the creativity. Whoops, sorry. I'm moving. Here we go.
So I met Tanya. Well, this is the beauty of social media. About a week ago, my friend Keith, hopefully he's watching, he posted that a friend of his in Statesboro is seeking medical help, a doctor's visit to her house. And I said, well, come on the water cooler and we'll see if we can help make that connection. So Tanya, please go ahead and tell us about Shannon.
Well, Shannon and I went to middle school together, and she and I actually reconnected over social media, which is the beauty of it. And she's this well, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding my spot. She's incredibly bright and very determined to make sure that no one else has to deal with what she's have to deal with. She has a rare illness and cannot be moved and cannot get into the doctor. And as a result, she's going without the medical care she needs. She's asked me to read the statement for her, which I think will show you, both her brilliance and passion for ensuring that medical care is provided where it's needed most.
Okay.
At a time of technology and medical advances, it is unfathomable that the most vulnerable and medically fragile in our communities in Southeast Georgia are being denied medical care. This is happening every day to so many. This is a travesty that must be addressed. Countless individuals for whom travel is of detriment physically and financially are in need of physician house calls. House calls until recent times were commonplace as the medical community understood that the very ill and fragile should not travel. Yeah. It is a contradiction for medical care to be more readily available to the well than the ill. In my years of research, I have discovered countless benefits as documented by numerous sources for house call care. Every day, countless people with medical issues that render them bedbound or homebound need care. I found myself without care after my established primary care physician of over 3 decades refused to continue my care due to my limitations of travel. After finding myself bedbound, facing no medical care or safe means of travel due to my limitations and illness, I spent the last 2 years advocating for house call physician services for myself and my community in Statesboro, Georgia, due to a severe lack of resources in Bullock County. Health issues should never preclude access to health care ever. Shannon's hope for house calls and home medical care was born out of a need for survival in December 2019. People with rare illnesses should never be ostracized or discriminated against due to their health. A community's character is shown in the treatment of its most vulnerable. I have found a mobile phlebotomist, and I have faith that a local physician will step forward to fulfill this most vital need. The fight for medical care should never exceed the fight against the illness itself. My mission statement is meeting people at their level of need. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that.
Absolutely. Hopefully, if there are any physicians or anybody who has a connection in the Statesboro area, Shannon needs a doctor to be able to come out and see her. Maybe that this is an opportunity for somebody to start a new business too.
Yes, because she does have a doctor who comes from 5 hours away, and that, I know it's a rural area, but we believe that there's the opportunity to fix this issue.
Okay, guys, anybody watching out there, if you know a doctor in Statesboro, there, Liz is going to post a link to her Facebook page. Is that what it is?
That's
Tanya?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And please connect. I mean, this nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, thank you so much for coming on and being her advocate. I mean, it matters, and that's what this show is about. Trying to help folks that need help. Here we go. Is this it?
Thank you so much.
Is this her?
Yes, I know. Yes, that is the link. I know that it's hard to see what that is, but it's the name of of her page that I mentioned.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Tanya, thank you so much joining us from Chicago. Please show us your sweet cat. Is he right there?
No, he decided that we weren't good enough.
Well,
but I do post pictures. I'm happy to send you one afterwards.
Oh, let's connect on Facebook so we can keep in touch. That sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being such a good friend for her. And,
my pleasure.
Okay. Thanks, Tanya.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oops. There we go. Like musical chairs online.
Oh my goodness. At least the internet is working. I mean, before we came on, it just kept bouncing all of us off. So fingers are crossed. Anyhow, Catalina, this is
a cute, speaking of cats, this little guy, his name is Hardy, and he needs a home. And Hardy, he's quite talkative. He's very outgoing. And he will let you pet him until the cows come home. He's a very, very snuggly kitty. He has a kitty friend named Laurel, and so he definitely
gets Hardy. Oh, how cute!
Laurel and Hardy, yes. And so he gets along with other cats, and I don't know. I'm just a sucker for cute, snuggly cats. I have a couple myself, and that little guy needs a home. So
yeah, if you could take. Contact Coastal Pet Rescue. They have Laurel and Hardy, and it would be best if they could go together. So,
yeah.
Hardy,
you can't break up the team.
Yeah. All right. Next announcement. I got this really interesting email last night, very late last night, and they're having a Christmas Carol contest to raise money for the Single Mom Foundation. And look, everybody records it looks like everybody records their favorite rendition of a Christmas.
A really cool idea.
Isn't that a cool idea? That win. Kim Gudsby is on it. The Savannah Bananas, the Equinox Orchestra. Man, that gets an A for PR. So I told her.
Definitely. Especially now when everybody's trying to figure out how, like we've got Thanksgiving coming up in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I think something like that. And then, Christmas seems to be like 5 minutes later, and everyone's trying to figure out, how they're going to maneuver these holidays and all the traditional celebrations. And Christmas caroling is one of my most favorite things to do around the neighborhood. And so I love that idea. That's fantastic.
Y'all get an A. I'm going to go on and vote. But that could be applied to a lot of other things. But anyhow, let's keep moving. This is oh, yeah, my favorite thing. This is the 8th annual State of Small Business. We are going live December 8th at 1 p.m. on Savannah Score's Facebook page. We're going to have folks from all the different sectors like real estate, film, tourism, to talk about the numbers and how the industries have fared this year during COVID. It's going to be quite interesting. Once we compile all the reports, we will be giving it to the Georgia Historical Society to be put in their permanent collection.
Nice.
Collection. So anyhow, that should be an interesting presentation. We are going to go live. Also, we've got, here we go, Encourage Health. Kat, you got that?
Yeah, so they've got their January 7th, right? Their what is it called? activity-friendly routes to everyday destinations, right?
Right.
That's the next one coming up, and that is there's a lot of information about that, I believe, on Healthy Savannah's website or Facebook page. I'm sorry, and that actually is going to be carried on the Healthy Savannah Facebook page, streamed there. So January 7th, hold that date, mark that calendar. I think that's going to actually be a very interesting. Savannah, we're not one of those colder climates, right? So you can get around and keep outside much longer than everywhere else. And so activity-friendly routes to alternative destinations sounds pretty good.
And Armand will be giving the presentation. It will be live. And then the Savannah Savannah Government TV will also be rerunning that. Mm-hmm. So, and just a reminder that next week we will have the Savannah Biz Pitch winners on. There they go. Congratulations to Jamal, Melina, and Amy and Scott. So we'll have a water cooler conversation with them next week, November 23rd. Amy's also on this show today too.
Yes, she is.
Healthy Savannah wants everybody has a reminder to make sure you get your flu shot.
There's a lot of locations that are doing that for free right now, and actually I noticed that besides all your traditional pharmacies that tend to have those things, there's actually, if you go on the health department's website here in Savannah, there was some free flu shot things going on, and also they had some free COVID testing things going on at the Civic Center and the State Farmers Market over in Garden City.
Absolutely. And we have a call for gift wrappers. Every year, Greenberg has a gift wrapping fundraiser at Oglethorpe Mall, and this year Center Park Credit Union is a sponsor of that. So if you're interested in helping to wrap gifts at the Oglethorpe Mall, please click on the link below. And let's see what else. We got a few comments here. Hold on a second. This is one. Hey, good morning, Mark Bolton. Shannon's Hope for House Call was an interesting segment. Seems like a mobile van equipped with basic supplies and staffed with a PA can make households calls in underserved areas. Mark, to me, that seems like a business waiting to happen, especially during COVID.
Mark is with, I've known Mark for 100 years, back from my Red Cross days. Mm-hmm. He's with Coastal, Mark, I'm sorry, what's it called? Coastal something cooperative, something. My brain is freezing. But anyway, he's a long time friend and very well connected up in like Bryan, rural counties. I feel like the rural communities here, I mean, we've got rural hospitals and such. There's been a lot of closures of rural hospitals over the last few years. And, those folks in those areas, they're just as in need of health care as those that live in the cities. And so I know there are doctors that they have sort of their rotations where they end up kind of nearby, or, Statesboro is rural, but it's not too far from Savannah. So I can't imagine that there isn't some resource out there that can accommodate this request or need.
Good morning, Angel. Good morning, Honor. Both of you guys have been around the water cooler. Thank you so much. Oh, and I see Bunny Ware. Good morning, Bunny Ware. Good to see you.
I love her little emoji. It's one of my favorite ones.
Who did that, Bunny? Somebody drew that for you, right?
Her little cartoon. I think you can have it. I think you can create it yourself actually on whatever. And it comes with like Facebook or whatever it is. But hers is one of my favorite ones because it looks just like her. No one's emoji looks just like them. Hers looks
that
just
one
like
does.
Yes,
Also,
it does.
Honor, I just want to give you heads up in January, and I actually picked a date. I want to get about 10 different artists to come on and show their different artwork and reiterate what you're doing for the nonprofit area. So I'll get with you on what date that is. So, okay. Bunny.
I can hear Honor going, yay! From here.
So, okay, Brendan. Okay, he did bunny's emoji. Excellent. Okay. So, oh, look, right. We did the agenda. It said 9:15.
Yeah, we did. We're like actually on time.
So this is so cool. Every year, Savannah Magazine honors a number of New Guard. It's kind of like the 40 under 40. And it's really hard to be selected for this. You have had to prove that you have helped the Savannah community, and it's very competitive. And we have I think we have 4 that showed up this morning to talk about what they have done and what they're planning on doing for the vision to keep Savannah great. And it does take a community to make a great community. And we're doing it. Hands down, we got the best community ever to live in.
We really do.
Yeah, and it takes the energy of the community to make it great. The poor government, they can't do all this. So that's why it's so important that people step in, they see a problem, and they do it. That's called leadership, and that's why these people coming on have been honored, because it is leadership. So it's going to take me a second to pull everybody on here. Hold on. There we go. Voila! First of all, congratulations so much for being named the New Guard. That is such an honor, and that will be with you for the rest of your life, and you get to live up to that for the rest of your life, because what you're doing really, really has moved the needle. So let's just go around and everybody introduce themselves and talk about what company you're with and why you think you were selected. So Amy, I'm going to start with you. Hold on, it takes me a second to get you full screen here. Amy, hey.
Hi.
Hey, congratulations, Amy.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be included in this amazing group of entrepreneurs. It is. It's huge.
Yeah.
And, so a few years ago, my husband Scott and I, we launched a company here in Savannah called Coastal Care Partners. And our mission is to help older adults navigate all of the complexities that happen as we're aging and getting older. We are, as a society, we're living longer. There's more chronic disease. There's a lot more cognitive impairment. And things start to become complicated as we get into our 80s. And, we just saw it both personally and professionally. I was actually working with Hospice Savannah before launching Coastal Care Partners, and just kept seeing families, struggling to deal with health care and just life. And, so we launched Coastal Care Partners 3 years ago, and it took off here in Savannah. And we help both as nurses that are managing the health care of older adults, and then also we have home care to help in the home. And then out of this, just recently, we are in the process of launching a new company called My Nurse Now. And for My Nurse Now, our idea is to provide urgent care services at home. And so, there's companies that are doing like home health at home and things like that. And there's some fantastic urgent health facilities in Savannah, like, Expert Care, Sandfly Urgent Care. But what we saw a need for is the urgent care services at home, both with older adults that, it's a struggle for them to get out of their house sometimes and get into a busy doctor's offices. And then also, busy moms with, many kids. It's hard to stop your day at work and take your 3 kids into a doctor's office. And so this is a solution for them as well. Also millennials. And our concept, we're doing something that we're calling the hybrid house call. We're going to have our physician virtual through telemedicine, which has, really become very accepted during the pandemic. But we're going to have the nurse at the scene. And so it's going to be a combination of the nurse is going to be able to provide the physician with things like vital signs. and then also be able to take orders from the physician. We'll be able to do things like get blood work, get a urinalysis. We'll be able to do things like IV antibiotics and IV fluids. So it's kind of a great collaboration with the nurse at the bedside and then the physician virtual.
I guess there are a few companies doing it, but you saw a need and you jumped to it. So congratulations. And Amy's going to be on next week because she is one of the 3 Biz Pitch winners that SCORE holds every year. And that's another huge honor. So you are moving the needle. That's wonderful, Amy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So Meredith, let me pull you on here. All right, Meredith, hold on a second. Here we go. Hey, Meredith.
Hi, good morning.
On being chosen as the new guard for Savannah Magazine. And I heard that our mayor hand-selected you, nominated you.
Yes, he did. It's a great privilege and a great honor to be selected with a group of really phenomenal, talented people from all walks of professionalism to get together and just figure out how to tackle making housing more affordable for Savannians. So it's a really cool opportunity.
Wonderful. So tell us about your job and what you do.
Yes, so I work at a company called Gunn-Meyerhoff Shea, GM Shea for short. It was founded by Bob Gunn and Eric Meyerhoff and has been run by our sole principal, Pat Shea, for several years. Sorry, my phone automatically goes to my computer. So so I work for Gunn-Meyerhoff Shea, and we really focus on some of every type of architecture. We do historic preservation. We work on civic buildings. The Savannah Cultural Arts Center is one of the projects that I've done. We also work on housing, hotels, a significant amount of hospitality work. So we have our heads and hands into some of everything, but most importantly, we're really community focused, and we try to be the best visionaries we can be to make places that people want to live and want to come visit, and destinations that people can enjoy.
Well, that is wonderful, and congratulations on being selected. That's a really big deal. And Mayor, if you're watching, we would love for you to come on and congratulate this group and this group of winners. Catalina will send you the link to get in.
I did. I know he's got a few things going on.
Just a few.
But I did send him the link over the weekend and again this morning. So if he's going to join us, he'll just pop in and out. So we'll
he's probably a little busy.
You think?
Next, I want to bring on Dr. Kathleen Benton. And Kathleen is the CEO. She's got a huge job at Hospice Savannah. Oh my gosh, Kathleen, congratulations. So well deserved for being named New Guard with Savannah Magazine. It's really, really wonderful.
Thank you, Marjorie. It's really humbling to be amongst wonderful people who really are focused on doing more for our city. It's a wonderful city, and if we can be advocates, we can make it even stronger than it is.
And what Hospice Savannah does and the leadership that you're demonstrating is, I don't think people realize how crucial it is that this part of the community is working well. And you're the only nonprofit in the area, and it really matters that we keep this organization healthy and moving and vibrant. So Kathleen, your story is so endearing of how you got into this type of work. Would you mind sharing that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So I had a younger brother who had the same disease as the Elephant Man and was born when I was 5 years old. And Daniel, my younger brother, had 110 surgeries throughout his life, thousands of hospitalizations. And we really lived the life of a family in crisis with a chronically ill loved one. Though, we normalized that and found the joy in it and the depth in it. And it was a wonderful blessing. Though Daniel got sick, very, very sick, even more so than he was throughout his life at about age 28. And those were really his end of life was about 2 years long, truly, from tumors that were all around his lungs and impacted his ability to breathe. So at the time I was working for St. Joseph's Candler, I'm by practice, I'm an ethicist. So working in the ICUs with ethical dilemmas that occur during treatment and trying to advocate for patients for their right to choose and limit suffering. And when Daniel passed away in 2017, I had always been a supporter and advocate for Hospice Savannah, and also was on the board of the Steward Center for Palliative Care, which is another nonprofit that Hospice Savannah is over, and decided it was time for a change and wanted to do something very, very positive where I could continue to be a patient and family advocate, but be in a different position to lead staff through that advocacy. I had been in the trenches for 13 years and really wanted to work more towards a vision for our community. So truly Daniel's life and passing was what brought me to that. And I think most people will find if they have any personal story and they're in healthcare, it's really that it's that story, it's that energy that keeps them going every day, because healthcare can be a very difficult area to work in, and particularly in these times. But when you see the needs of people and how vulnerable they are, and you can relate to that, it makes your work so much more purposeful.
Yeah, I was a board member on Hospice Savannah for many years, and it was such an honor. It really opened my eyes in a positive way with how crucial what you guys do. I mean, it's crucial, and you don't even think about it until you need it. And I had my dad go through Hospice Savannah. Y'all helped me take care of him at home, and it was a beautiful death. I mean, he was surrounded by loved ones. So, Kathleen, thank you so much for sharing that information. And Hospice Savannah rocks. And thank you for that leadership position. So,
thanks, Marjorie. Thanks for doing all this and keeping Savannah informed.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Camille. Let me pull Camille on. Hold on a second. Camille, congratulations on being named the new guard with Savannah Magazine.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a surprise to me. I definitely wasn't expecting it, but I feel very honored to have received this.
Absolutely. So Camille, tell me about what you do and what you're doing to make Savannah a better place.
Well, I'm an educator. I work with Savannah, Chatham County Schools, and I've been working with them for the last 4 years. But most recently, my role has switched to CEO of a nonprofit organization. I am taking over Morningstar Cultural Arts, and I am going to be facilitating creative art processes and projects and programs as Morningstar Art Creative. So that's what I'm going to be doing in 2021.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I know that the founder, I wish you'd have had her come on the show this week.
Yeah, she was kind of questioning that, but yeah, she's Carol Greenberg.
Yes.
And so she's retiring this year, and I'm taking, actually it's kind of like a long story, but I'm taking over 900 projects that have been provided in Savannah since 1989, and I'm moving them forward in the future. So it's a really kind of strange transition because we're going from cultural arts to creative arts.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that, working with the city of Savannah. I just got a Weave a Dream grant. So we're bringing everything forward from 1989, looking forward in the future. So it's a pretty interesting project.
I met her through a dear friend named Ron Higgins.
Ron must be a special guy.
Did you know Ron Higgins?
Well, the way you said it, Ron Higgins.
Ron, we called him Hollywood Ron, and he died very unexpectedly of a heart attack. He was in his early 40s, but he just had this huge connection with Hollywood, and he brought Hollywood here to Savannah with his
Very nice.
Oh, we all miss Ron anyhow. Oh, we got a question. What is Camille's address, please?
Oh, my address is MSTAR Arts Creative at gmail.com. And I put the website up. We do have a website so that you can access the information there. And I also just want to say that I was nominated by Marla Kokalis for Savannah Honors Academy. I'm on their board. And I just wanted to say those kids are great. And that thank you for her nominating me.
It's a huge honor, and throughout the years, I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you. This group usually goes on to do politics or whatever. I mean, we're expecting even more great things from you guys. This is huge. So I want to ask you, looking at the Savannah community now, what is the one thing that you think we need to collectively gather around and make it stronger? You know, there's a number of issues, but what would you say is something that we should all be thinking about that maybe we're not thinking about?
Well, I can say right now for me, with COVID happening, and this is a big transition for everyone, because you're having to work, like Dr. Benton said, in this kind of virtual hybrid environment where you have to reach out to people in their homes, you have to provide services on a different level. So I think looking at things in a progressive way, and everyone pulling together and pulling their resources together to not limit it to just community. We have to look at this as more of like everyone working together and reaching into everyone's home in order to provide them with services that they're not just normally able to get like it's been in the last few years.
No, it's a huge paradigm shift. And I guess that's why Amy's doing the home care. I mean, did you pivot because of COVID with My Nurse?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, in Coastal Care Partners, we're already working really closely with physicians helping to care for their patients at home. And, you know, telehealth has become very accepted during the pandemic. Even Medicare has relaxed some of the rules around billing for telemedicine. And so a lot of physicians have embraced it, and it's fantastic. But for our older adults, you know, they struggle oftentimes with the technology piece. And so physicians would call us and say, hey, Amy, your team is already seeing my patient. Could some of your nurses help with the technology part of the telehealth visit? And so we saw it working really well, and that in Coastal Care Partners, and that's where the idea came from, is that, you know, this is something that works really well. And, you know, with the physician virtual and the nurse, you know, going into the home, it's something that scales well. Yeah. And so we said, you know, this could be really helpful for our community, for not just the elderly, but for many people. And
especially so going forward during COVID. So.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Keeping our the elderly and the medically fragile safe at home has been hugely important. And so absolutely, it's something that I think will continue after the pandemic.
So Dr. Benton and Meredith, just what other future visions would you like to see for Savannah?
You know, for us, I think, you know, really diving into COVID, I think we can't leave that alone, because that is right now what we're working through in the present and the future. We see such need for support for caregivers. Everyone knows Hospice Savannah to be a wonderful hospice care of the vulnerable, but the vulnerable are also those who are the vulnerable. So, and much of the time, research shows the caregivers can become the patients if we don't quickly do something. We have the Adele Caregiver Institute, and we're finding that during COVID, and of course we're part of COVID. I mean, we're not virtually a part of COVID. We're with COVID patients on a regular basis, and we're finding that the caregivers who are experiencing this day and age, whether they have loved ones at nursing homes and they're no longer able to see them very much, or they're limited in who can help caregive because finding staff who will come in a home with the fear that has come along with this pandemic time, either position puts them in a situation of great stress, and the need for our community to recognize that we are a place where people come to retire, thus we have a growing elderly population. We are a heavy and hefty medical community, thus we have many patients and chronic needs. We've got to look to the work we do for patients and the work we do for potential patients, those that take care of them every day. And, I just like to, I want to be a part of not only those who are in a vulnerable end of life state, but those who are in the middle of living and will outlive the person that will pass for many years. So I feel that's a consistent need that is perhaps not recognized as often.
So we could say, like, if you were asking the community for some help, what would that help be?
I think number one, the awareness, just the awareness that if your neighbor is a caregiver, or, a friend of yours is a caregiver, they have somewhere in this community to reach out to. And the best way in Savannah, as we all know, to get information out is not usually a lecture or a pamphlet, it's by word of mouth. So to let them know, contact Hospice Savannah, they have a whole nother caregiver facet. And then in general, for the community to recognize that this is an area where we're going to have to come together and, some funding. We're going to have to put some funding into caregivers during a COVID time and after, during the growth in elderly population. And we're going to have to get educated on what the toll this particular role can take on people. Just that awareness and recognizing that as a community need, I think in general is the call to arms.
Also, Dr. Benton, do you need volunteers at Hospice Savannah?
Yes, we're doing a really great job of using our volunteers virtually. And at this point, we reach out and we call our patients every day in addition to our visits, because their needs are seeming more complex than ever right now. But
FaceTime or any of those video chat things?
We do. It was just hitting me that even to have more volunteers just for the caregiving side, to reach out to caregivers and do the same thing, a check-in, is really important right now. We are not in a situation that is comfortable to the human condition. We humans love to be around humans, and we're finding ourselves so much more distanced. And for a human who is also plagued by day-to-day life in their home, they need that extra. So absolutely, call to volunteer. Okay,
so folks watching, listening, contact Hospice Savannah, volunteer your time. That will be put to use real well. So, okay, narrative. What do you think is a need that our city needs? What's the vision? What's the call?
I would say I think a huge need would be for the city and the people of Savannah to encourage responsible development. Cities are ecosystems, so there are a lot of things that give and play into the economy and into the architecture and into the built environment. But with development, there is great pressure that's put on historic communities that often are displaced, especially within the African American community. We can see it throughout different pockets of Savannah where things are beautiful and development has happened and tides are turning. But I think it's really important that we pay more attention to the communities that are impacted and displaced by that, and also figure out ways to encourage more development for those people that may be displaced. So I think, we need to keep our economy alive through tourism and the various industries that are really important to Savannah's ecosystem. But really, I think that something that the city could do is cultivate partners within the development industry so that they can really figure out how to keep Savannahans in Savannah. And so I think that with COVID, a lot of people have really felt it hard, especially in their homes. A lot of people have been without jobs and unable to pay rent or unable to pay their mortgages. And so it's really important that we focus on figuring out how to affordably and efficiently and also hopefully sustainably. I think it's awesome that the city of Savannah recently said that they're committed to going green completely by 2035. And I think that there are a lot of things that we as individuals can do just in our own homes to make sure that our city is, a greener city and has a good impact on this Earth's footprint. So,
Meredith, have you heard of the group called Green Drinks?
I have, actually. I didn't know if they still meet.
Yeah, I don't know. So that would be really, you have folks that are very much in step with that vision. So that might be a good action item to start with, reaching out to them. What else can you ask the community watching? What's an action item that they can do to make this start to happen?
I would say something that I would love to see more of is people just attending their local municipal meetings and being involved, not necessarily becoming a politician, but paying attention to what's happening around you, because there are a lot of things that are transacted and happen on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of times we don't realize it until it's in our faces, and those decisions are made and the community is waiting for people to input. So I would say that that's something that our community definitely, I would love to see more of, because I think Savannah is in a unique place in that the people really do have a lot of influence on what does and does not happen in Savannah. And so in comparison to other larger cities where, things just happen, large corporations come in and that's just it. So I would say that be more involved and pay attention to what's happening around you. And if you see something that maybe discourages you or that you have questions about, be an active citizen and just reach out and ask.
A great call to action.
Meredith, I could virtually hug you right now. I'm sitting here in my head and I'm like doing like fireworks, like, yes.
I saw that. Catalina, she does political PR, so she's very into all of that. And
I think, listening to everybody talk, and Camille can back me up on this, in education, in my nonprofit life, I really focus on education here in the community. And in education, they call all these things, they call them wraparound services, and they're support services for students and families. And that's education does a good job through, student services and social work to really go in and assess a student's need or a family's need. And then everybody comes in and wants to help the school system. In fact, our local school system has created the STASI over there, the Student Services Center over on East Broad. And the goal of that was to bring in wraparound services in sort of a centralized location so that students and families had access to various resources in the community. Taking that one step further, if you look at the community as a whole, between the health related issues and the economic issues and all the different things, like in my mind, I think, we really have to go out and meet folks where they are no matter if they're young or old. Dr. Benton said, we're a place where people come to retire. There's a lot of, health issues here. Amy, her business is supportive of, everybody's working together here to support folks, and everyone has their own piece of the pie, but the pie is spread out all over Savannah. And so, on the education side, and it's still a work in progress, they're working to sort of pull together a centralized place for all these resources to be. The biggest umbrella, I think, here in Savannah is access to. And so, the younger folks, oh, well, I'll just look that up on my phone, or there's an app for that, or we can do telehealth, or we can do whatever we can do. My parents are older. She can barely, she barely gets on the computer once a day on Facebook. She knows how to work that, telehealth is a challenge for someone and a lot of people that are older, access to internet in a lot of especially our high poverty neighborhoods here in Savannah. It's non-existent. People don't have access. The school system just gave out tablets and computers to, a ton of children just so that they could go to school online. And so I think, grand vision, I think I would love to see not only the city, but the county in particular. The city is in the county. And I think those two entities, the city does a great job. The county, I would like to see both internet access and a collective place for service providers to work together in that, so we can meet our community where they are and provide support services across the board, whether it be education, health, mental health, whatever it is. Meredith gave some great, there's a lot of stuff happening out there, and people, active citizen was my favorite thing that you said, Meredith. Be an active citizen. Because then if you know, people say that all the time. If you're an active citizen and you're at least aware of what's going on, not just what headlines you see in the news, it's important.
Where can folks watch the meetings with City Council?
Well, they have it on their website. I mean, you can go to the City of Savannah, and I'll get that. We'll get Liz to put that in the feed. I'll get it for her here in just a second. But all those things are streamed live, and if you can't go, you can actually watch them. So the City of Savannah has it available on their website and on their channel, and we can stick that in our feed before the end.
Camille?
And I just wanted to add in another resource is the other organizations and other nonprofits in Savannah. I've been working a lot with the museum, and the Savannah African Art Museum has been providing their space to other organizations to promote positive activities, even though they're very COVID restricted right now, where they're not able to do their workshops and invite people in who might not otherwise have that service in their area. Like you were mentioning, they may not have internet, they may not have access to a computer. A lot of things that we're doing is we're reaching out hybrid. So I've been able to go into different organizations, homeless shelters, youth organizations that have a need for people to be there, and then connect those services with how do you facilitate this and how do you reach this online, to be able to connect that. And what's very helpful is when you have these larger organizations that have the resources, they have the advertisement, they have the budget to put out a press release, they have contacts to the newspaper. They're able to kind of create another type of umbrella, much like the school district, but on a more arts and education venue, and reach out in a creative way. And I think that that's very important, to be also creative in this time, because this is something unknown and we're all stepping on grounds that maybe we've never been at before.
How do you guys all define leadership? You were all selected because of leadership, and I just would love to hear what your definition of leadership is. Amy, can I start with you?
Sure, yes. I think for me, it's something that's kind of evolved as my business has grown, where, what I have found to be successful is that, I don't have to be great at everything. I don't have to, do it all. And what I've found is that I can have people join me that are really good at different areas that maybe I'm not as great at, but as a team, we're very successful. And so I think that it's empowering the other members of my team to be successful that helps us kind of as a unit. And it's not all about me.
Meredith, how about you?
Thank
Thank you, Amy.
I would say that leadership is listening. If you are a really good listener, then you can be a really good leader. And I don't think that many people walk into rooms and pick out people that say, "Hey, you're going to be the leader of this thing." What ends up happening is leadership is organic, and if you listen well enough and you give feedback and you contribute in a positive way, then you become a leader. And so I think that's leadership.
Great definition. Thank you, Meredith. Dr. Benton, how about you?
I adhere to a philosophy of servant leadership. So it's much like what Meredith was speaking of, but it's really about doing two things. One, having a vision that exceeds the day-to-day and really looks ahead to the future, because as a leader, you're really charged with not getting through today, but getting through 3 years from now. And that's very difficult in times of trial and tribulation, where it feels like every day you just need to walk around with a fire hose so you're ready to put out the next fire. But you can't do that. You still have to stay ahead of it. And in that same time, for the people who are going through the day-to-day and the fires, you have to serve them. You cannot be living on a pedestal or with an ego. You have to bring them coffee and pick up the trash that they drop and hear their feedback. And that's the type of leadership I believe in.
Awesome definition. Thank you, Dr. Benton. Camille, how about you? How do you define leadership?
I think leadership is, I don't know, it's very a passion for me. I think that leadership comes from a part of you. It's not just what you do in the community or how you interact with people, but it's more than the agenda. It is that passion that drives you to be able to pull people together so that something gets done, not for you, but for others. A lot like what Dr. Benton said, that leadership is not about your personal success. It's about the success of all.
There's a number of programs. Thank you, Camille. There's a number of programs. The Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce, of course, has the Leadership Savannah program. It's a year-long program that you can go through. And then there's the Southeast Southeast Georgia Leadership, which expands it to the region where you actually learn leadership skills. And there's also lots of wonderful books. And we have about 7 minutes left. I would love to hear what your favorite leadership books are that help move the needle, that can help move the needle for Savannah and for your own personal careers. Amy, what's your favorite?
Reputation Matrix. Number one. I'm not kidding. I love your book. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Such great strategies.
Wow. Thank you. That was unbelievable.
I have to say your book, I've only had it. When did you publish it? When did it actually come out? I can't even remember. It's been like a month. July?
Mm-hmm. August.
July. So your book already in my world has coffee on it. It has circle marks and things. It has highlights in it. The pages are wrinkled. The pages are folded. I mean, if you're in nonprofit or small business, if you don't have this book in your library, you need to get it, because it is a strong, not only does it tell you about PR and those kind of things, the leadership direction in the book is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
What is it called again?
It's called Reputation Matrix. We'll put the link here in just 1 second.
I just spoke to a Rotary group in the UK about my book, and I love when they send me clippings of mass media that they get. So I actually started a Facebook page for Reputation Matrix. I'm going to put that clip up there. But, you know, I mean, PR is huge with leadership because that helps move the needle with causes. So the book talks about how to use mass media. People don't realize that, like, Savannah Morning News has 75,000 people on their feed, and your own personal social media might only have 5,000. So mass media is really important in leadership, and if you're going to start moving the needle for causes. So anyhow, but Amy, thank you. What's your favorite book? Meredith, I think she froze.
Are you asking me, Marjorie?
Yeah, let's go. Dr. Ben,
Okay.
what's your favorite book?
I actually just pulled this too. So The Servant Leader, just as I it's actually a book that Sister Lourdes gave me years ago at St. Joseph's Calendar. And then this, I don't know if you've ever heard of Maxwell Leadership Bible, and it really walks you through kind of a spiritual approach to leadership. And I like it because
Wow, that's a good book. Oh my God.
and it really impactfully shows a person how they can lead in any position. And that's what I think is very, very strong.
Dr. Benton, what's your favorite takeaway from that book?
Well, one that I was just reading recently, which was about being very careful about compromise, because in leadership, and particularly in politics, I feel like I'm not in politics, but some days it feels like I am. Compromise is the name of the game. And while it is important to learn that, because it is a tactic and a skill, there has to be a very delicate balance, because once you have your mission and you're driven by that passion, you have to be very careful not to go too far to compromise it, because at the end, you'll be someplace you never envisioned. So careful compromise.
Thank you. Great tip. Camille, how about you?
Well, I have been following this approach called happenstance, and there's a lot of writing that's going on about it. It's about how you engulf a situation. And I've been using that as a follow along the last few years. And it's worked. It's worked for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Meredith, are you there? Are you?
Yes,
there?
I'm here.
You froze before.
No.
What's your favorite book on leadership and the big takeaway for you?
I would say that a really good book that really has more so to do with personal leadership is The Compound Effect. And I think that it's called The Compound Effect. Have you guys heard of it? It's really a book that teaches you how to be decisive and to continue making decisions so that you can lead your life, lead other people's lives, set yourself as an example, look up to yourself and lead. So whenever I have, lost my mojo, feeling in a little slump, I listen to that book because it reminds me, okay, if you set your vision and you focus and you continue to be decisive about the things that you want, then beautiful things come to fruition. And that definitely carries over into leading situations and for people to lead their own personal walks of life and goals and passions for themselves.
Excuse me. Go to my PC.
Do you know if there's a book club in Savannah or one that we could join, or if somebody could start one on reading leadership books,
I think that should be a task for our Women in Leadership Facebook page.
I listen to it. I don't really have a whole lot of time to actually do a lot of reading, but if they're an audiobook, that would be a really good way to help move the needle for all of our careers, to be able to have a interactive book club maybe 4 times a year. I don't have enough time for once a month, but I just, we're all in this together. We can all help each other together, which makes Savannah even a stronger place. And I just want to congratulate, look at these 4 women on here. You guys go. This was a huge honor. And this is, how many were selected from Savannah Magazine? I know there were more, but we didn't have room for everybody.
There's a lot. I've had that website up. There's what? Let's see.
You want to read them out? Who else?
So we have, the New Guard 2020, of course, Dr. Kathleen Benton, Samuel Evans, who is a senior manager at Hancock Askew, Amy Pierce here, Mary Giffens, who she owns Latin Chicks and the Mint to Be Mojito Bar, and also Vita Fresh food truck, which is phenomenal. Ryan Klaus with Felder and Associates, Meredith Stone, who of course we have here, Matt Toller, and let's see, Nicole Mason with Ivory and Bow, Kyle Kennedy with Kennedy Heating and Air, and Mia Mance, woo! Mia. She's radio throwback station, Mia Talks Media, Waldo Webster with Savannah Adult Recreation Club, Camille, and let's see, Derek Mallow, Boy Scouts, Carmen Bergman with Delaney Industries, Ann Pappas Interiors. Good Lord, there's a ton. Michelle Peth, that was the last one with Beaton, real estate agent with Van Tosh Realty Group. So
awesome. And Anita, the publisher of Savannah Magazine, she's on. She said they honored 16. Guys, this is a huge honor, and I just want to congratulate you all. Thank you for coming on, sharing your stories, and we look forward to hearing more really good things that you guys are doing in the community. So,
thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys around the community with masks on. And
mask up, Savannah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week on Around the Water Cooler. And thank you again, and congratulations again. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.